All right, just waiting for some people to show up. Very, very small crowd today. Oh, I should probably post. I have to remember to delete it on Facebook though if I go, I'm live. That's a long. I suppose I could post this. I don't really have a button on it, but I don't know how many people. How long do I have it? Oh, 33 minutes. It's that long or longer, actually. Let's see. Lurking and working. Paul's lurking and working. Hey, Michael Mason. Joseph Finley, good to see you. Holly, good to see you. My lone admin is in the house at this moment. Anybody heard from Sam at all? I mean, actually, he did comment. I don't think you probably saw it. Hold on a second. Yeah, he commented on Fridays. Wish to thank everyone for their kind thoughts and prayers, and Tom for his special prayers. My surgery, right hip only, anterior approach, occurred during the stream. So maybe he's going to get 2 surgeries. That makes sense, actually, rather than do both at once. It was successful, and I'm now on the mend. Tom's lesson today, blah, blah, blah. So he restates what I taught, but in a actually more concise and succinct manner. So you might want to go to the comments on Friday's video to get that. Let's see. Let's see who else is here. Bob Schumann, good to see you. Alan Floyd. I said hi, Joseph. Let's see. Jim Horst. Paul Meyer, I said hi. Aslan. Let's see. John in Louisville. So still kind of a small crowd. Alex, when we did our jam, we were talking about musicality and embellishments last Saturday, not this past one, but the one before. And Alex mentioned David Rollins, who's a great guitar player. It's funny because he found his main axe, or at least it was his main axe for years, in like a box in a barn with no strings on it. I don't even know if it had a bridge, but it was like an arch top, like a really cheap arch top. I have one, like a cheap K arch top that I used to play on the movie Gangster Squad because I needed something that was predated 1949 that was kind of a jazz guitar. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money, and they would have rented me something, but I, kind of used an excuse to buy something. And very similar to what David Rawlings plays something very similar to that. And it's a really cool. So what he did, it was actually literally covered with sawdust. I think it was like just in a bin in a barn. It's a great story, and he's a great guitar player. Plays with Gillian Welch, a wonderful singer and songwriter. But one of the things that he does that Alex pointed out is he does a lot of chromatic lead-ins. So like if you've got two notes that are a whole step apart, or you need to get to a note, and you've got some time, like just right at the top, we go, right, that's the next note. Well, instead of doing that B twice, you could, and that gives it a real down-home, kind of sleepy country vibe. Very fun. Hey, Bruce. I should probably put up on the Discord, or no, everybody on the Discord's here now, I'm assuming. But I should put the Discord link up. I could do that. Just waiting for more people to show up. I think everybody's starting to get back to work now, so. All right. So that should be pinned in a second. But try this. You could do right. That's the melody. But instead of playing the B the first time, play an A and then a A sharp and then the B. So you're playing like 2 eighth notes in the place of 1 quarter note. 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. It doesn't really work. You could do it descending too if you wanted to. So we're going from the A to the G. That might get, if you did one or the other, it'd be fine. To do both gets a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Syrupy, but kind of schlocky. The schlocky is not the word I'm looking for. Schmaltzy, that's the word. It's a little schmaltzy, okay? It's a little bit overly dramatic if you do it too much. It's just a little like, I don't know. It's just a little too much. But to do it every now and then, finding that best moment to do it. I think that first one is actually the best one. Going up. You could do it there too. You don't need to go to the A. You don't have to play every melody note. You could totally do that. That would be a pretty good stuff. All right. So let's see where okay, there we go. That's a good one right there too. So I mean, if you did it in like 2 spots, it'd probably be fine. Yeah, if you did it in 2 spots, probably fine. That's true of all the embellishments. If you overuse it, it's just going to sound, I don't know, cheesy. I can't think of a better word than that. Good afternoon, David. I broke my nail on. I broke one of my strong nails on Thursday. I'm like, dang it. And I felt that it was something catching on it, and I filed it down, but I didn't file it enough, and then it finally did catch on something. The other thing we could talk about too is the in the style of a lot of times when you do. When you're doing a song or something, you want to kind of do it. Maybe you want to choose someone to do it in style. Now, that said, I didn't plan anything, so I don't really. I'm like, how would Mark Knopfler play this, right? How would probably play it on a Strat? I always hear Mark Knopfler playing a Strat. I Want My MTV was like, why is he playing a Les Paul? That makes no sense. My life doesn't make any sense anymore. Oh man, I'm almost out of coffee. I got up too early this morning. I'm really wasted. I'm like, oh, why did I get up so early? Yes, calling the 7,000. If click on that Discord link and join the Discord, and you can download that and everything we've done. It's in the. It's in. You know what? I should put that in here. Let me put that in here. Let me go to Discord real quick. So on the Discord site, it's. Oh wait, I'm not there. Where's Discord? There it is. Also, I'm going to create a Sweetwater store that you can go to and you can buy strings and stuff like that. It's Tom's. Can I copy paste this? I can't. And live stream lesson. Okay, wait. Hold on a second. All right, so. Hey, Sam. How you feeling? Let's see. Can I duplicate this? Please let me duplicate. Nah, it won't let me duplicate. Really? All right, I have to start a new text. Okay. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna make this. Did I do it backwards? Okay, there we go. All right. Now I'm gonna edit this. Okay. Hashtag. Now, what the heck is it? I wish I could copy paste. Toms-lessons-PDFs-n. Okay. I'm going to have to do this in groups. Toms- Did it start out right away? Lessons PDFs. Okay. Lessons PDFs and live stream lesson list. Okay. All right. So that find all lesson sheets at the Discord group, and I'll just drag this down here. Okay. Hopefully that helps. So Sam is saying thank you. And I'm assuming you're home, Sam. Did you spend the night in the hospital? Or were you home? Was it a kind of, I guess that's called outpatient if you go home you don't spend the night? Okay. Also, let me just give you a little lesson here on and Fridays, well, actually Wednesdays and Fridays lesson. We harmonized it with thirds and fourths. But oops, there we go. The what I wanted to show you what just a basic trick for coming up with chord melodies. And I'm bummed that I don't have a fingernail right now, but I can do it with a pick. Basically, one night in the hospital. Okay. So the way you want to do like what I would call a chord melody. In other words, you're playing the chord and the chords and the melody at the same time. And you can do simple ones, you can do complex ones, and everywhere in between. And the very basic way to do it is, and this is not arranged in open positions. So, but for now, I think it's easier to use open strings for many reasons, because of the nature of, you want the strings as far down, at least in this arrangement. You see, if we were to knock it up an octave, we might want to find the notes elsewhere. But the very first note is you see, I like I said, I arranged this to be at the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th fret, right in here. Okay, 4th position. So in open position, you should be able to. It's just pentatonic. Every note is right there. So hit the open D, 2nd fret, open G, 2nd fret, open B, and 3rd fret. That's every note of the song. So the lowest note of the song is D, and the highest note of the song is this D. And so what you do when you're doing a chord melody is you just look at the chord and you look at the note and you make sure that the highest note you play in the chord is the melody. Okay, so in other words, I'm not going to play a chord there. I'm just going to play D. But the very first melody is, so I'm just basically playing a G chord, but I'm stopping when I get to the G. And then again, you don't necessarily need to. I used to, when I was a kid and I was doing chord melodies, I would do, I would almost hit a chord. I would, that's not a very good example. I'm trying to think of other examples that I would do that in, but where I would play a chord on every melody note. You don't need to do that. You can have melody notes by themselves, like this first note, and then the chord, and then hit the open B, and then hit the G chord again, but stop at the B. Right? Now you're playing the chord and the melody together. And you can do this with any song. Okay, now, then we're going to have this A note, and then we have another G note, open G. Well, a C chord, the third note in the C chord, if we start on the 5th string, 3, 2, 0 is that G note. And then we hit. So basically what I'm doing is I'm playing a chord with every downbeat, but not on the beat 3 note, okay? Because the melody pretty much does that. It's one half note on 1 and a quarter note on 3, and that's pretty much the whole melody does that, except the ends of the phrases. Okay, so again, we have the open D, G, then hit the B string, and then strum again, and then hit the A, and then go to C chord, and hit and stop at the G, and then hit the thanks, Sam, and back to Tom, and then hit the E note on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then now we're just going to play a G chord. This is where we're getting into trouble, because if I was up here, I would only have 2 notes. I'd have the root and a 5th, so it'd be a total power chord. And I could do this. I can play it up here, but see, because I'm further up the fretboard, I have less, notes in my chords. So this way, at least on this G chord, I have that D note. I can go to the bottom 3 strings of the G chord. And then you can play this D, just a regular old D like this. You can go ahead and play that, even though we're not going to play the F sharp. Let's go back to the top. Open D, then G chord to the G note. Open B, G chord to the B note, and then 2nd fret. Open C to the 3rd string, then hit the E at the 2nd fret of the D string, and then hit the bottom 3 notes of the G chord, and then hit the D string again, and then the G chord to G, and then the open B, and then the G chord to B, and then hit the D or the A, and you might want to get that with your 1st finger just so you can get your D ready. Okay? Now I'm going to give you an option here. This is one voicing we can do, which is nice. So I'm just playing the D. I'm not going to the F sharp. I'm just going to the 2nd string on the D chord. Okay? And a nice roll is nice. You don't have to be fast with the strum. And that allows you to be very precise about what string you end on. So if you try to go... So you're not going to be able to be... The melody's not going to be as focused. And... Okay, now I'm going to give you an option here. Okay, play a C chord, all right? Add your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, so now it's a C7 chord, okay? We're not going to use that, but we go up 2 frets and play the middle 4 strings, and that's a D7 chord. It's a little... I might use the D7 chord in the 2nd bar of that last note, okay? In other words, I might go... Right? Kind of restating that D note, re-hitting that D note, but the 2nd time with the D7 chord. All right? That's kind of nice. Or you could do it this way. Okay, I'm doing D string, open. Then 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. There's no F sharp in there, but it's got a D and a C and a D. It really implies that D7 sound. I love that chord, actually. Okay, so then we go back to open B. All right, hit open B, and then we're going to play a G chord, but we're going to add our pinky on that D note. Okay, so open B, and now we're on the bottom stave. Open B again, strum to the G string, no jokes, because we're doing Amazing Grace. All right, and then the C chord, here's the thing. See, we only have 2 notes there, right? We're playing the C and an E. So it's a little bit of a thin chord. If you want to fatten that up a little bit, that sounds really good. Okay? And that's the G. So 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. And so what that technically is a C over G chord, or a 2nd inversion C chord. But I love it. It's just a great sounding C chord. Almost sounds like you're playing a baritone. Alex, like I play this chord all the time, but Alex was like, I was trying to think of what are some other fun chords, because I taught in my TikTok, I taught the James Bond chord. And I'm like, I got to come up with some more of those. I have a bunch more, but I want to do more TikTok videos. And that one, I thought, Alex said, well, what about the C with the G and the bass? It kind of is a really cool sounding C chord. It's actually very, and I see a lot of players use it. So they can kind of strum all 6 strings. So it's a really great chord. And it goes, it just sounds big. Okay? So we're again at the bottom of the 2nd page, or the 2nd line. So that, and if you want to think of it, you can think of it, it looks like exactly like an E chord, right? It's just like an E shape right there. But I'm playing it with these 3 fingers just so I stay kind of in position. And then open G string, and then G chord to the open D string. So just the bottom 3 strings of the G chord. And then open D, and then make an E minor chord and go to the G string. Whoops, I went too far. Open B string. Okay, now this is the only time we have a note in the whole song that's not part of the downbeat chord. We have notes that are not part of the chord, but not on a downbeat. So we have a D chord, And so what I would do, but we have a B on top. So what I would do is just play, we're coming from E minor. You could just put your first finger, like you're making a D chord, but take off your second and third finger. All you need is your first finger. D string, second fret on the G string, and open B string. And then go back to that A note on the G string, and then strum G to the G. After you play the bell, no, I'm playing every downbeat. I'm playing the chord, but making sure that the top note of the chord is a melody note. If I go past that, you might lose the melody. The listener might not hear the melody. So, and then I'm playing the note I'm playing by itself is that quarter note that's at the end of every bar. Okay, so let me play this again. Chord, note, chord, note, chord, note, chord, note, chord, 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 note, chord, note, chord, note, chord. But when I'm playing that chord, I'm making sure that the melody note is in that. I'm not just strumming a chord. Otherwise, it would sound like, I'll show it to you in a second. Okay, if I did just note, chord, see, you don't, when you strum the whole chord and you just blow right past that melody note and play the strings above it, then you don't really hear. You hear note, chord, note, chord. But what I'm doing is note and then chord with the melody note on top, and then stopping on that note, whatever that note is. Okay. Sometimes it'll be all the way up here. If I were to move this up an octave, it would be. But see, then we're gonna have some. That's if I move the melody up an octave. So now the melody is pretty much being played on the B string and the E string. So in that case, you will pretty much generally strum all the way to the top, but then you have to come up with some of these voices. Like this G chord voice is not a normal one. So. Yeah, calling 7000. Yeah, it took me a while. I'm still not real familiar with the Discord, but there are a lot of people here that are on it all the time in lots of different groups, so they can really hold your hand through it all. But you're more than welcome to go through those. And you know what I'm going to do? Bruce and Holly, I think I'm going to, on some of my new videos, I think I'm going to start doing this thing where I upload, not for our live stream. I'm going to keep this way, but I'm going to do, like I did that octave, that thing. I've got the PDF for that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that to Etsy. And I think I'm just going to sell it for $2, right? Or $3. What do you think? I'm not $5. I'm thinking $2. I don't know what Etsy takes. Anybody know what percentage Etsy takes? But it's a digital download. So it's not like I have to print them up and mail them or anything like that. They just download. And they, once they do, they're probably going to share it anyway, and so it'll be free to anybody else. But if I put a price like $2 on it, they may be less likely to share it. If I put $5 on it, they'll be go, that's a ripoff for one piece of paper, and I'm gonna put it up on the internet, kind of thing. So, but I thought $2 for things like that. If I sell another 10 or 20 of those, it almost makes the video worth it. How many spins does that video have? I can go back and do it for other videos, but I think I would probably be more likely to do it on just newer videos and new videos. let's see here. Uploads. And I might do it. I can do it with the digging deeper into E minor and all that. I can create pages with that on there. So where is it? Oh, here's the exercise. Yeah. So how many does this have? So it's got 1,200 views. So if I even get 1% of the people buying it, that's an extra $24. If I can get 10% of the viewers to buy the download it, then that's an extra $120. I mean, that's not small money. So. Oh yeah, you don't play. Oh, so yeah, was that? Yeah, you wouldn't want to add that E string. You just start out. It's middle 4-string chord. So I can write it out here. Hold on. Typewriter tab. X5453X, and this is D7. It's a great chord. That, if you don't hit the open E strings, is a completely movable chord. So whatever note this is, or this is, that's what chord it is. D7, or E flat 7, or C7, or F7, or A flat 7. Okay, so let's try this again. I'll go real slow. And here's the thing. I could tab this out. I mean, I could totally. I almost would rather not. I'd rather have you use your ear and your brain and your hands and your nose and your foot, your left foot, not your right foot, to figure it out yourself. All right. So let's try this again. Open D string. Okay. Playing a simple G chord. We're gonna strum down to the 3rd string, and then we're gonna hit the B string, and then we're gonna strum again down to the B string, and then we're gonna hit that A note right there at the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then we're gonna play a C chord from the 5th string to the 3rd string, and then we're gonna hit the E there on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and then we're gonna hit the bottom 3 strings of the G chord, then hit that D string again, and then G chord all the way to the G string, and then hit the open B string, and then strum the G chord all the way up to the B string. And then we're going to hit get that maybe with your first finger, that A note on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then play D chord, just D, A, D. Kind of a simple chord. Or we can go to this, see what it sounds like if I do it. Not bad. I kind of like saving that 7th until the 2nd bar to give it, because you're on one note for 2 bars. It's other than the end of the song, it's the only time that happens. So it's like, okay, what am I gonna? It's kind of boring, right? You want to spice it up a little bit. So you got dun, dun. You could do an augmented chord. Spice it up. You could do there's so many things. I don't know. I could do that. Let's see. And if you're wondering what I did there was I took that D7 and I did what we call the tritone substitution. Take the root, go down a 5th, and play a 7th chord there. So I played, instead of a D7, I played an A flat 7, which is a tritone away from the D7. For some reason it works, right? But then what I did was I wanted to keep that D on the top, so I ended up doing an A flat 7 with a flat 5, which is really just G7, but everything slid up 1 fret except the top note. Oh, you seen the augmented chord and blues progressions? Or this? Oh, this chord. Oh man, I'm gonna run out of coffee here in a minute. I may have to run and get a Diet Coke. Okay, so hit the open B string, and then we're gonna go to a G chord where we're gonna have the D on top. So I'm stopping at the second string. Open B, G chord to the third string, open D string, and then I'm going to do that C chord where it kind of looks like an E chord, but I'm just going to do the bottom 3 strings. 3, 3, 2. Well, let me write out that typewriter tab for the full C chord. So this is technically C slash G over G. Okay. Alex called it the baritone C because it sounds like you're playing a baritone. So that's that, and then where were we? Okay, so we do that chord, and then we hit the open G string, and then we do a bottom 3 strings of a G chord. We're really down in the mud here. So we hit that D string, and then we hit the E minor chord, stopping at the 3rd string, open B string, and then here's where we have that D chord with the B. I'm just going open, second, open. Does that make sense? And who was asking me about chord strum, all that stuff? Hopefully I explained it properly or clearly. Where was that? How far back was it? Let's see. Yeah, oh, it was John. Okay. Yeah, I think I understand what you were asking, John. But yeah, I mean, basically what we're doing is we're playing a chord. I could play a chord on every beat, all right, if I wanted to. But I might want to make it, I could go. That's just too much. It's nice to have the chord and then the melody note and chord and melody note. Now we can also talk about substitutions, and I know a lot of you have talked about or wanted to know about that. And there's some simple things you can do. You can kind of look at the fact that like for example the second bar. It's a little redundant, but you could put G over B there as a passing chord to C. So in other words, we almost want to talk about this more in rhythm playing, and then migrate that over to playing chord melodies, where you can make your chord melodies a little bit more interesting by doing some chord substitutions. And there's a million things we could. I mean, like I said, we could do. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can get from G to C, and from C to G, and from G to D, and that's the kind of thing. One of the things you can do too is you listen to bass players, and they go, right? So they're like C. I could do. I could go to A on that chord, the melody note right before the G. So I go. No, that's not going to work there. So I did a C major 7 there with a B on top. Then I could do maybe. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a million ways you can reharmonize it. It's more just kind of experiment and then see what works and what doesn't work. If it, you can try things, but usually you can start with the bass note. Yeah, John's saying, nevertheless, you want the melody tone at the top of your chord strum in order to emphasize the note as part of the melody. Exactly, 100% right. Exactly right. Okay, so when I play, I have notes above all those notes that I'm playing, but I don't. I stop at them when I'm playing. You know, see, I could have played this up there. That G is part of the E flat major 7 chord, but I stopped at the B, which is the 7th. But that's the melody. Same thing here. I'm playing B flat minor 7. I'm stopping at the 3rd string. I could have strummed all the way to the top, but the trouble is then you lose the melody. If you keep the melody on top of the chords, people's ears will be attracted to it, and they'll hear the melody. But if you hide the melody inside the harmony, it's a little bit more abstract, a little bit more difficult to find that melody. If it's a very well-known melody, then it's maybe not so much of a problem. But if it's not a known melody, people won't even know you're playing it. They'll assume whatever the top note of your chord is the melody. If you're playing an original song and all your melody movement is in the middle, that's cool. We can talk about that. I just like to call that, shifting. I do that all the time when I'm playing, just because I like to see, I like moving notes around in the middle, but I think of it more as a rhythmic flourish than a melodic detail, if that makes any sense. So, let's see. Everybody's asking Sam how he's doing. Sam, do you have a piece of metal in you now? So you're really going to feel it in the winter. You're going to need to move in with Bruce in Florida, I think. We were talking about that on Friday. I said, "Oh shoot, he's gonna have metal in each hip, and so in the winter you're gonna like go outside. And you're gonna be and it's gonna get cold, and you're gonna go in the house, and it's gonna stay cold. So you're gonna have to move to Florida, I think." Okay, let's see what. And again, this doesn't really. This chord melody thing isn't so much about embellishments. It's more about musicality. And I think it's a perfectly legitimate way to take a solo. Okay? So if you are, you're playing Amazing Grace, whatever, any song, but just, we're using Amazing Grace because it's public domain and it's just pretty simple. So, it's just pentatonic, really. But... But when you get your solo, that's you can. There's no reason you can't do a chord melody. There's no reason you can't do, like a regular chord melody type thing. So, okay. So, now are you, you're not getting the left hip done then, Sam? I thought you were getting a double hip replacement. Okay, sorry. Now, So transition chords. Or substitution chords. You can always do a minor sub. So a minor sub is if you take a major chord and you go down 3 notes, or you can think scale tones, 2 scale tones, 3 scale tones. Hard. Always like how do you say that? 3 semitones. So in other words, you take any note like C and go 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's actually 3 intervals. So, but A minor would be a sub for C. I could do this whole song with minor subs. It would sound like this. Has a totally different flavor, right? So that would be overusing them, but you can totally do them. That's a little weird there, the B minor, but B minor would be the sub. It's just, I mean, I don't know, it's... Sam, what would you say? How would you say that? I just think go down 2 scale tones. Because if you're on the... so look at the G major scale up here in the top right. Top left, sorry. If you look at the G at the end and you go down 2 scale tones, G, F sharp, E, that gets you to the E and E minor. Okay, if you start on D and go down 2 scale tones, D, C, B, that gets you B, and B minor is a sub for D major. And if you go to C, C, B, A, that's the sub for C major is A minor. Nice, Joseph. And so in a major key, you have 3 major chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5. In the case of G, it's G, C, D. You can see them there. And you also have 3 minor chords, A, B, and E. And those are the subs for the majors. You can substitute them. Now, you can do the other way around, too. If you have a minor chord, you can substitute a major chord for it. And you could, in other words, you do the opposite. You go up 2 scale tones. So like if you're at A minor and you want to know what's the major sub, what can I do instead of A minor? Yeah, Sam was babbling, so the drugs haven't worn off. So if you go up 2 scale tones from A, you're going to get C, and then C would be the major substitution for A minor. If you have a B minor chord, you go up 2 scale tones from B minor, and you get B, C, and D. In the key of G, that would be the case. Then that would get you your major substitution for minor. They're less common than the minor subs. Because there's generally in songs all over the world, there are more major chords than minor chords. So you're more likely to go, oh, I want to change this and do a major and minor sub. But that's how you do it. And it works. Any melody that works over a major chord should probably work over its minor sub. I mean, we heard it just then. The A minor one was a little weird in bar 3 with that C chord. That you have that G string, open G string. So that makes it a little, I could have done A minor 7. That's softer and prettier, I think. And A minor 7 is just A minor with the second finger taken off. All right, so I'm getting happy fingers. All right, so we talked about 2 things today. We talked about the chromatic lead-ins or lead downs, the And that's kind of what David Rawlings would do. Really cool guitar player, really good guitar player. Fun. Check him out if you don't know who David Rawlings is. And it's Rawlings, I think. And he tours with Gillian Welch. I mean, they've been performing together for years. In fact, I shared the stage with them, but a long time ago, 20 years ago maybe. I was playing with a band called Mercy Miles, and we played at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano. And we played before them. And the thing was, I didn't stick around and hear. I didn't know who they were. It must have been more than 20 years ago. I didn't know who they were. So I took off. I think I brought Beth with me or not. But it was a long drive back to Pasadena. It was nighttime. I was tired. I had to work in the morning. So it was kind of like, oh man, I don't want to hang around. And the other thing is I had gear there. And I had my 74 Strat stolen. I had my Strat stolen back in Madame Wong's West in Los Angeles because I was after we played our set, I put all my gear with everybody else's gear on the side of the stage, all the other bands, and we all lined it up. And I went around and talked to friends, and I came back and I had everything was there except my Strat was gone, and so that stunk. I think somebody thought it was older than it was. And that would have been 1984. But the sad thing about that guitar is that it belonged to Caleb Quay. Like a student of mine bought it from Caleb Quay, who was a guitar player for Elton John and a guitar player for Hall & Oates. And he was a childhood friend of Elton John's. They were friends growing up. And he basically sold it to my student friend, and my student friend sold me that guitar and his 4-track deck so he could buy that red leather Michael Jackson coat. It was so big in 1984, and he bought one and wore it once. And he goes, "Man, I wish I still had that Strat." I said, "I wish I still had that Strat." It was a great sounding Strat. I recently found a track, the only recording I ever made with that guitar. I recently found it on a cassette deck, and I have it. And I was like, "Oh man, that thing sounds so glassy." It was just such a great sounding guitar, and it was a 3-way switch. I remember having to kind of like the 3-way switch into the middle, kind of do the Buddy Holly thing, and. But I didn't know Caleb at the time I bought it. I didn't meet Caleb until like less than 10 years ago, maybe about 10 years ago. And I asked him if he remembered that. Yeah, it feels like you're yelling at us, Joseph. So I met him and I asked him, "Do you remember that guitar?" And he said, "Yeah, I remember that guitar." And I told him the story how it got stolen. He goes, "Oh, that's too bad." And I even remember too, I had my Ray-Bans in there too. I think they cost $80 at the time, so I was bummed about that too. Ray-Bans were in the case, but he said, he said, "Do you want to know the songs that I played used that guitar on for Elton John?" I said, "No. I don't want to know what song." The sad thing is the person that stole it has no idea what it's worth. And I had this idea later, like I thought it would be it would be kind of a clever idea to create these fake certificates of value for guitars. Like say the guitar belonged to someone famous and it was this worth 1,000 times more than it really was worth. So you put that in the case. You get one for every guitar, right? And you put it in the case, and then if it ever gets stolen, the idiot that steals it won't believe anybody when they say, "No, that guitar's only worth $500." He's like, "Are you kidding? It's appraised for $50,000." And they can't ever sell it, or they just think everybody's trying to rip them off, and it's like, well, welcome to the club. I don't know. Bad Man Sam. Next song title, Bad Man Sam. I know I haven't written a song in a long time, huh? I mean, I've written a lot of songs, but I haven't written one for our live stream in a while. So let's see. I'm trying to think about Wednesday. What do we do Wednesday? I mean, we're kind of, like I said, I could go, we could talk more about these. I got all these things here. The trill. The trill. Trill's different than tremolo. So here's a trill. Here's an example trill. Trills are great with half steps on guitar. Whole step trills, not so much. We got a half step. We've got a B note with it to C. Here's what that sounds like. It just doesn't. It doesn't really work, does it? Those are trills. It just doesn't. That's a whole different thing. That just doesn't. You know, I mean, it evokes an orchestra. So, I feel like you know, that's not necessarily something we would use. Let's see. What am I looking for? Orchestra. Where's my orchestra? Oh, there we go. Strings. Smart strings. I guess, I see. I've got it set to, got it set to violin, maybe? Yeah. Oh, they don't have that. All right, I'm going to have to. I thought it had that as an option. Let's see. No, maybe this one. Oh. So, good. That would be all half-step trills. Totally useless. But yeah, if we did the melody, we did. Very ominous sounding, right? I don't, you know, a hammer on that would be a mordant. Would be, I guess, one of those. So if you went, that's totally fine. I don't have a problem. In fact, that sounds very Irish to me, right? Like I should pull up the Irish bouzouki and play it. Would it be? I got it tuned like a mandolin now. I got it out of tune like a mandolin. Where are my tuners? Never have enough tuners. Here's one. Although is this battery dead? Nope. Okay. I actually gonna get a strap for this. Yes. Everybody can take a sip because I changed instruments and I touched my face. So take a double sip. raise the action a little bit. It's a little buzzy. Anyway, I'm putting it back. Don't worry. All right, so uh-oh. Buffering. Just giving you a heads up. I just saw it. All right. Let's see. We talked about harmonizing. End of note flat flourish, whammy up, vibrato. We've talked about vibratos a little bit. That's an interesting subject. Oh, we're dead in the water. I think it's crazy because my phone has been on a weird. Okay, it's back, but I think everything's kind of slow today. Yeah, download is slow. Checking upload now, but it says 0. Mamba's here. Hi, Mamba. And John Kendon, just saw you. Sippable offense, that's right. I'm waiting for somebody to point out the, oh man. Yeah. I think it's fresh from work. So I'm assuming you are in Europe somewhere. In spite of, here we go. Nope, not there, it isn't. Weird. Yeah. Download speed is fine, but the upload speed is nothing. It's on my end, everybody, so don't think it's you. No data stream will end shortly unless you restart in your streaming software. Yeah. Really bad. Sorry about this. Try again. Oh, okay, Germany. Well, that explains. So you're just getting home from work. Yep, video. Well, I mean, normally I'm at 2,500 kilobytes per second, but I'm at 30 kilobytes, so like 1/100th of normal. So audio, yeah, I can see where, but definitely video is not going to go through. And I even see 0 every now and then. So. And we've talked about hammer-ons. We haven't talked about bends so much. Okay, bending is one of those things that. Yeah, I got no upload speed, so it's not pinging back. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm still in the red here because it's jumping down to 0. Let me check it one more time. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah, yeah, because what's the chat should be fine because that's a YouTube. That's their, you know. I mean, I might have delayed chat because I've got no internet right now. Right? Freeze frame. I did that song in my band in Indiana. I don't see it getting better though. So usually I would get an email from them or something saying they're having issues. But yeah, YouTube's going to shut me down. So I'm going to end the stream. Maybe I'll log back on later today. I got some work to do. So no, I paid the internet bill. It's automatic. So I'm not sure. It's weird and we're not losing viewers either. But usually, this is about the time we start get the bump. We get that 1 hour in bump for some reason on our viewers. As far as the internet goes, I'm checking again. Yeah, it's just not good here. So I need a second for the video to work, and it's like 500, 580, 419. 162 and then 0. So yeah, it's not. Yep, exactly. Just like my band in Indiana. Freeze framed. I don't think we had anybody play the camera for that song though. Isn't there a camera in that song? All right, well, I'm going to log out because I don't see any point of going on if you can't see me. Because I know how much I want you to see me. I want to be seen. So I'm gonna bail on this. I think I'm gonna give it one last second here to fix, but it's just not doing it. So yeah, no, it's not. I don't know why. Probably as soon as I log out, it'll jump up. But yeah, YouTube is telling me it's not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming. So I'm going to end it, and I will see you on Wednesday if I don't see you before then. I apologize for this. It's just a frustrating thing. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody take care. God bless. Bye-bye.